Follow the Equestria Brotherhood, Chapter 2, Chapter 1, Changed Forever. The Great War began and ended. In the beginning, it was a war of rifles, soldiers, and diplomats. But as predicted, war changed. It was the last war. War at the Balefire Bomb. It was then that the world was plunged into a dark magical abyss of spellfire. Honey life was purged, their own greed consuming them by the very bombs they created. The ideals of friendship and harmony gave way to greed and power. The very fabric of society tore itself apart with the end of the world. But it was not as the end of pony life in New York. No, rather, it was just another turning point in pony history. For whatever bombs did not destroy was consumed by the wasteland it created. Although for some, it was not the end. A company called Stabletech built high-tech underground bunkers called stables. It was with the creation of these stables that led to some being spared the horrors the wasteland offered. Although Equestria died those many years ago, its neighbors were dragged down to the dark magical hell with them. Enter the Ironhoof Province. Once a land of powerful ponies, it now stands like its brothers and sisters, burrowed under a blanket of magical radiation. Although its history is lost, many ponies still remember the hate they had for their neighbors, and how greed killed the world. In this province, there were two stables built, Stable 43 and Stable 142. Stable 43 became lost with the dropping of the bombs, but Stable 142 survived. For you see, most stables were not meant to save anyone. Instead, they were used to house experiments, abnormal scientific research, tests that would affect the stable's inhabitants. Only a few selected stables were built for civilian use. Stable 142 was built for testing food growth indoors and mass water purification as well as civilian usage. One day, the great door of Stable 142 shut closed. It was not until the Overmare, Stable 142, decided that any and all who could leave at their own leisure. Many ponies discarded that idea of leaving, and so the law was forgiven about. Even though the law was forgotten, it did not mean that the residents couldn't leave. So, the law was exercised falsely, keeping its citizens from leaving, because you lived in a stable and you died in a stable. The doors were never opened again, or that was until that fateful day when two normal brothers would embark on a quest that would ultimately change the fate of the Providence forever. This is their story. The bleak gray walls of the stable didn't help Neo as he sat down at a terminal organizing the archive files. Neo was a fine, moderately built earth pony stallion with steel eyes and a jet black mane. His coat was plain white, and cutie mark was a black compass rose. It was unknown to him as to why his cutie mark was a compass rose, but it didn't bother him. After all, it could be worse. He had dreams of leaving his dull life in Stable 142, trading his life in for something, anything better than the life he currently had. His eyelids were heavy as boredom and sleep mixed together, causing him to slowly fall asleep. Thunk! Went his head as it rested itself peacefully on the keyboard of the terminal. It was nice and dark in the room, so he found it easy to drift off into a light slumber. Neo was the archive scholar. He never asked to be the archive scholar, but that was his job. He smiled as he shuffled his head around, trying to get more comfortable on the keyboard. The huge metal door slid open, and Flipper came running through heavily. Neo! He huffed heavily as he tried to catch his breath. Flipper was the same age as Neo. Same boring job. What? Neo said tiredly as he shot up from his nappy position. Flipper was still panting fiercely as he tried to explain what was going on. The Overmare is coming! She is checking on us! He barely catching his breath. Neo looked down curiously. What? He let himself hoof to him for a second, telling him to hold on. Okay, he said, finally catching his breath. The Overmare is coming to check on us, he said before moving over to his co-worker to check his work. Did you have the arcades rearranged yet? Flipper asked, looking at the terminal Neo was sitting in front of. Neo was still sleepy. But he wasn't going to let the Overmare find out he hadn't completed his job yet. Damn it! He swore as he started to sort out the files at the terminal. Flipper was bobbing up and down nervously. Come on! She's just down the hall! He said, nudging Neil to work faster. Neil was rushed and stressed, but then stopped from sorting the files getting slower. One by one, he moved each individual file to its respectful place on the terminal. Then, with the press of an enter button, all the files were saved. Yes! Flipper exclaimed victoriously, throwing his hose into the air. Then, right there in the middle of the doorway was the Overmare. She watched the two get themselves together at her presence. I see you boys have managed to sort out those archives properly, she said, giving them a cheerful smile. They stood next to each other and gave each other a sharp salute. Yes, ma'am! The two Colts said in unison as they addressed the Overmare. She just smiled at them cheerfully. At ease, soldiers, she said playfully to them. They obeyed them and dropped their hose back to the ground as they loosened up from the stiff soldier pose they gave her earlier. Yeah, we managed to get all 436 archives stored and checked, Neil said to her proudly. She nodded to them both. Good, good. I knew I could count on you. She was the nice pony. She was never mean, never strict, and always helped you with any problem. The reason she was treated as a dictator was because the former Overmare, which was her mother, was a cruel leader who ruled the stable with an iron hoof. Since her retirement, her daughter took over, and everyone was treated equally and fairly. She had a silky white mane and a clean brown coat. She had one of the most kindest faces you could ever see, with a smile to match her personality. Neil rubbed the back of his neck a little embarrassed by the way he acted. Sorry, I still think you're your mom sometimes. He apologized with a sheepish look on his face. She raised her host slightly, put on his shoulder. It's okay, Neil. I understand my mother was a hard ruler, but she's retired and I'm in charge now, she said softly while retaining her smile. Yeah, what he said, Flipper said sheepishly. Overmare gave a startled look. Don't you think I don't know about you running off to the stable pit, leaving poor Neil here to work all alone? She scolded him. He backed away and folded his ears down, saying, Now, you get to the archive, the next 3,000 files, without any breaks. She continued, still keeping her temper down. Neil chuckled at the remark. He knew she wouldn't put a load like that on any pony, not even Flipper. Yes, ma'am, he muttered quietly, shaking his head low with shame. The Overmare turned back to Neil with a kind smile back. Neil, she asked kindly. Yes? You have an appointment with me in my office tomorrow with Adam, she continued. 3:30 sharp. No exceptions, she stated to him. Neil scratched his head, puzzled at the corner. Excuse me? He asked curiously. Yes? Why is it you need me and Adam tomorrow? She started to make her way to the exit with a kind smile. You see, she said before stopping in the middle of the doorway. As for you, she stated sternly, you better have that done by tomorrow if you plan to keep your job, she said, giving him a sarcastic look. Yes, ma'am, Flipper said shamefully. Then she looked at Neil again. Neil, you're off for today, and there won't be any work to either, so enjoy your free time, she said sweetly before she exited the room. I can't believe this. This thing misspelled your worst Fallout thick ever! Went the door as it closed behind her. Yes! Neil cheered to himself while bringing his right forehoof to him. Flipper moved to the terminal next to one Neil was using, sat down eagerly with his hose folded. Oh, you can't have any fun, Flipper, blah, 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 he mumbled to himself negatively. Neil turned to his work partner with a slight smirk on his face. You brought this on yourself, you know. Shut up, he replied with a pout, as he just sat there and looked at the green terminal screen. He was severely pissed, and Neil knew it. But like he said before, he only brought it on himself. Neil turned away from the room and started to make his way to the exit. See you later, Flipper, Neil said to him, but he just sat there, pounding at the screen. Neil shrugged and left the room with a skip and a step, and heart filled with joy as he made his way back home. This was the first time he had a whole day off, besides the weekends, of course. Little vacations like these only came rarely for him. The only thing that bothered him, though, was that the Overmare had said to him, why did she want Adam with him? What could she possibly want? Questions never seemed to end. So instead, Neil pushed the thoughts into the back of his mind, cheerfully made his way down the long metal corridors to a small living quarters on the second level. Neil tried down the gray corridors with only the colors of other ponies passing by, They added emphasis to the dullness the stable gave off. Neo tried down this path before. Down the next 2 hallways was the stable pit, and down the next hallway was the biochambers. The stable pit was the bar and dinner that everyone loved to go to when he or she had time off. It was mostly popular with stallions and mares Neo's age, but a lot of older and even younger folks found their way there every other day. The biochambers was where they grew their food, from apples to celery, from vegetables to fruit, you name it. Ponies in the biochambers grew it. Neo had never been in the biochambers before. Come to think of it, no pony he knew had been in there before other than his mother, of course. Then again, he didn't know every pony in the stable. He stopped every now and again to observe passing mares his age he found attractive. But before they could turn around and realize he was looking at them, he would quickly turn his gaze away and continue on the way. A lot of mares his age were filly foalers, so they weren't really interested in stallions. And those mares his age that were into stallions were all taken by security guards. In some ways, being a security may actually be more boring than the job he was currently holding as an archive scholar. It was almost home before he saw the small group of ponies come trotting down the hall in a small mass. The group was led by Greaser. Greaser was probably the worst name he had ever heard a pony be given, but his slick black mane and fabulous orange coat made all the ladies quiver at his hooves. Neil lowered his hair as he approached the mass. He hoped that none of them would notice as he made his way to his living quarters. Don't say a word and they won't notice you, he thought to himself as he carefully maneuvered his way around the crowd. An acid! Hey, that's my sweet roll, punk! Greaser shouted proudly to this group of followers as they chatted about completely random things. They were way too busy to notice tiny Neo slip past them as they made their way to the stable pit, which was their other direction. Neo raised his head up as he looked behind him to check that the herd had moved on. Phew! He sighed before trying down the rest of the hallway. At the end, there was a small automatic sliding door. It was just like the others in the stable, but the only difference between this door and the others was that it was labeled with the number 62 in bright yellow. As he approached the large door, he looked to the side door. Their small yellow keypad lay. He plugged in a series of numbers into it, and with a small beep, it opened. Neo happily made his way into his home with a small cheerful smile. His home was nothing special. It was just a single room with all the essentials. A bed, a sink, a few drawers, a desk, and a terminal. He immediately went over to it and popped himself onto it. Unlovely bed, he muttered to himself as he turned over now, facing the metal ceiling. There's not much to do now, he thought to himself as he closed his eyes. I'm not hungry. Don't know where Adam is. And I really just feel like sleeping, he thought to himself as he relaxed his muscles and slowly drifted off into a deep sleep. In his sleep he saw darkness. Then he started to think to himself, was he outside like this? What would life be like outside of here? The more he stared into the void, the more deep sleep came. Question after question raced through his mind as he thought more and more about it. That was until he heard a small metallic tapping. Tap, tap, tap. He opened his eyes slightly and sat up in his comfortable position of bed. There was somebody at the door. Tap, tap, tap. It went again. Neo stretched as he made his way to the door to see who it could be. Went the door as he opened it to see who it was. Hey, brother! It was Adam. Adam was his younger brother. He was 5 years younger than Neo, and in some ways a light brighter. He was a kind soul. He never wanted to wrong any pony. It also didn't help that his name was Adam, which really wasn't an average pony name. Because he got this, he was picked on constantly by the other 15-year-olds in his class. He had a brown mane and a solid blue coat. His eyes were a bright emerald green, and his face and voice made him seem 3 years younger than he really was. Adam just looked at him with a guilty look on his face. I'm sorry. Did I wake you up? He asked. Yeah, what is it now? Neo grumbled tiredly as he scratched the back of his neck. Adam gave his brother a friendly look. Mom wants you over for lunch today. Neo's eyes popped open. Lunch? He asked curiously. Well, he went to sleep. It was 6. Now it's lunchtime? That meant he'd been asleep way longer than he originally thought. Adam looked puzzled. Yeah? Why? I went to sleep at 6 yesterday. Well, That means you've been asleep for a good 17 hours. I know, and that means part of my free day is up, he said, toning down his voice. Adam just looked down before coming back to the topic. So, when are you going to come for lunch? Neil thought for a moment. He did feel a bit more hungry and went to sleep. But other than going to stable pit, there wasn't a lot to do. So Neil gave his brother a smart smile. Sure, I guess there's no better way to spend my day off than to have lunch with you and Mom. Adam jumped up with joy. He exclaimed, jumping up into the air. Adam turned around and made his way back to where he came. Well, when he stopped for a moment, he looked at his brother with a curious look. Aren't you coming, brother? He asked Neo. Neo returned the same look to him. Why? What time is it? 11:45. Neo was surprised he had originally slept that long. He felt great because of the long amount of sleep. So apparently he needed more than I thought. I guess I could go now, he said, stepping out of his doorway. Adam gave his warm smile again, as he waited for his brother to come with him to their mother's living quarters. Their mother lived with Adam, and since they lived on the same level in the stable, it was easy for them to see each other. It was nice that they got to live close to each other. So only a few minutes before they reached their mother's living quarters. It had a big 67 pointed on it, and the same yellow numbers. Neo used to live with his mother and Adam, but then, when he turned 17, he decided to try to live on his own. It wasn't really saying much, considering he only lived down a few hallways from them. Adam visited his brother frequently. He also used his brother's living quarters to hide from bullies who teased him. Both brothers loved each other. After all, family was the only thing they had in the stable. Even if Neo was 5 years older than Adam, they both found some way to get along. Adam tapped on the gray steel door for their mother. The door slided open, exposing their mother in the other side of the doorway. I see you took up our offer for lunch. Their mother greeted them with a smile as the door fully opened. Their mother was one of the head research officers for the biochamber research team. She was a unicorn with a solid blue coat and green emerald eyes. Her mane was long and smooth, like a field of wheat. She was a good mother. She raised them well, teaching them right from wrong and how to be the best ponies they could be. Most mothers in the stable sent them all to school or let them wander on their own while they had fun doing whatever they pleased. She always found time for their sons. Even with the busy, hectic life she lived, she would still find time to spend with her boys. Her smile melted to their hearts. She was what a few would call a heavenly spirit. But she was just as smart as she was pretty, and she always wore a lab coat. Always. Yeah, I figured, why not? Neo said as he entered her and Adam's living quarters. Adam followed after his brother. As he almost had all the food prepped on the small table in the corner of the room. I have it almost ready. I need is you boys, she said with a sort of smile. The living quarters were considered a mansion compared to Neo's one-room living space. There were 3 doors in the main room, each one leading to a different room. The main room had a red carpet with a series of small chairs stacked around it. In the stable, you had 2 options for dining. You either took food from the mess hall, or you ate at the mess hall. Every now and again, their mother would bring food back to their home so they could eat together as a family. The small table had 4 metal bowls, 3 of which looked like dining bowls, while the 4th was a bowl of pie holding extra fruit. Who's hungry? Their mother said as she made their way to the table. Adam dashed to the table and sat down on one of the 3 chairs. Can't wait, he said, gazing at the fresh fruit. Neo made his way to the table with eyes locked on the food. It looks great, Mom. How fresh is it? He said, sitting down at the table. It's freshly packed. I got it today fresh from the biochambers. She said with a warm smile. She joined them at the table. Once she sat down, she used her horn to levitate the fruit from the middle bowl and place a fair portion in each bowl. Once she was done, she levitated the middle bowl of the table. Dig in! Madame South was wandering extensively. Oh boy, he said before digging into meals he had gotten. Neo wasn't enthusiastic about eating as his little brother was. But it was fresh food, and that was a treat. Together they ate and enjoyed the afternoon, telling each other about the previous day. Neo told them about his terminal story with Flipper and the Overmare. Adam told everyone about how he was building his own pit bug attachment. The only odd thing was that their mother never truly told a story. Rather, she just sat there and listened, almost like she had something she wanted to say. But she just sat there, watching her boys and enjoying their meal together. After the meal, their mother sat down, putting the bowls back into their places in the small cabinets next to the table they had eaten at. Did everybody enjoy that? Their mother asked, looking at her sons. Neil and Adam were rubbing their stomachs with big grins on their faces. Yeah, that was some of the best fruit I've had in a long time, Neil commented cheerfully. Yeah, I'm stuffed, Now moaned blissfully as he patted his full stomach. Before their mother finished putting the last bowl away, she looked down at her pip book for the time. It said 3:23 p.m. Her eyes shot open as she quickly turned to her sons with a worried voice. Boys, you're going to miss your appointment with the Overmare, she shouted at them. He just looked at her puzzled. What are you talking about? Adam said to his mother with a raised eyebrow. Then it hit Neo again. Damn it! He said as he faced himself. I completely forgot about that. Adam looked to his brother for answers. What are you talking about, brother? We have an appointment with the Overmare at 3:30. We do? Neander responded. Neo hopped down from his chair and made his way to the front door. He felt his weight had increased for the meal. He pressed the button that opened the door to the rest of the stable from the Rose home. Come on, Adam! He yelled at him, trying to get him to hurry up. Adam could feel the weight that he had increased. Okay, lead the way. You know more about this than I do, Adam said as he waited for his brother to go. Just before they turned around to leave, their mother stopped them. Stop! They halted instantly. When they turned around to see what she had to say, she held forearms open for them. Her eyes looked like they were about to cry. Don't leave just yet, she murmured sadly as she was about to burst into tears. Neo and Al looked at each other and went over to her mother to give her a hug goodbye. As they embraced her, she let out a few tears. I'm sorry, she whispered to them as the hug continued. Neo barely noticed what she had said and asked, What, Mom? She let them go and backed away from them, tried to wipe away the tears she had made that they embraced. Oh, it's nothing, she quietly whispered to herself mournfully. The brothers were puzzled by her behavior. One moment they were laughing and thankful that they were together. The next they were crying. Adam took a step forward. Mother, are you all right? He asked softly. Yes, I'm fine. Just run along, she cried a bit more. Adam turned slowly towards the door and walked out. Neo stood there watching their mother. I'm sorry if something happened. I'll hope you feel better once we're back. He tried to make her happy with a smile, but it had no effect on her. Goodbye, Mom, he said softly before trying out the door to catch up with Adam. Goodbye, Neil. Adam. They dashed to the Overmare's office at top speed, as dodging maneuvering their way to the steel halls of the stable. As he went on their way, Neil had two questions in his mind. One, how did she know about the appointment? And two, why was she crying? The more he thought about it, the more confusing it became. Adam didn't seem to notice how she knew about the appointment. But then again, he didn't know about the appointment until a few minutes ago. Why was he acting this way? And why did they have to see the Overmare? Neil was in deep thought over the situation. Or that was, until Adam stopped him with his right forehoof. We're here! He said to his brother, as he stepped back to reality. To his surprise, they were at the destination. In front of them was a large steel door with a large O1 written on it. Neil lifted to his right hoof into the door and knocked on it soundly. Tap, tap, tap! The door swooshed open as the Overmare greeted them with a welcoming smile. Come in, boys. Come in, boys. You're just in time, she said, stepping to the side, allowing them to come inside. The brothers walked to the Overmare's office and waited for her to give them permission to sit down. Please, sit, she said to them as she moved to the large wooden desk. The room had large terminal screens onto the walls, and a round porthole window to look out into the biochamber. She made her way to a leather chair and sat down neatly. Neil and Adam each took one or two chairs at the front of her desk. Boys, do you know why I brought you here? They both shook their head in unison. As you know already, when a cult or city turns 10 in our stable, they're taught how to run water pumps. She stopped for a moment to give them a quick glance. It is your duty to help lift the purifiers when I instruct it. It is your turn to watch over them for the day. Both brothers sounded strange as they had huge and normal grins. Really? Adam screamed happily. She didn't smile at him. Instead, she just nodded at them and continued with what she was saying. Yes, and you will get paid the normal amount for working the pumps. Working the pumps was one of the highest paid jobs in the stable, and was one of the most special. You only got to work there if the Overmare personally assigned it to you, as he didn't just choose anybody for the job. It was still a mystery to Neo as to why she would pick an archive scholar and a 15-year-old to watch one of the most important places in the stable. He had so many questions, and too few points to answer him. Neo's grin died down a bit as he raised himself in the air. Yes, she said to him. Why did you choose us? She looked down at her desk grimly. At this time, I can't tell you. But what I can tell you is you'll be working there for the next 6 hours. Then you'll get to pay and be able to go back home, she said, retaining her grim look. After the meeting was over, both brothers left their office and made their way to the purifying chamber. Neo was a little upset the Overmare didn't answer his question, so why she had him and Adam doing the job. But, once again, he tried not to stick a million questions racing to his mind. As he trotted down to the purifying chambers, Neo decided to bring up the Overmare's behavior with Adam. Adam? Adam was in a very content mood as he replied to his older brother. Yeah? Did you notice the way that the Overmare reacted back there? Adam thought for a moment. His brother was right. She was acting a little more gloomy than usual. Now that I think about it, yeah, she was acting a bit strange. Another thing that bothered Neo was the idea of having a free day, being given a job, but they were not. It didn't really matter. After all, they had been personally given the assignment by the Overmare herself. Neo's deep thought managed to spread to Adam, who was now deep thought. He was thinking about all the things he had learned in class the day before. One of those things was cloud evaporation. Adam was curious about clouds on the outside. Brother? Yeah? What do you think it's like on the outside? Neo was a little taken away by the topic Adam chose to talk about. Why do you ask? Yesterday in class we studied evaporation. So? We learned about clouds, brother. What do you think clouds really look on the outside? Adam asked, looking up to his brother for answers. He didn't answer. Rather, it was him who stopped him before they could bump into their destination. We're here, he said as he placed his hoof in front of Adam. The door was much larger than the doors in the stable. In the middle were the words, Stable Water Treatment Room, in bright yellow lettering. Just like outside Neo's living quarters, there was a small number pad. Before they left, the Overmare gave them each the code to the chamber. Neo went over to the pad and punched in the code. With a click and a beep, the large door slid open. A loud humming noise filled the air as soon as the door opened. Both of them flinched a bit at the instant change in noise. The chamber had a small control room that branched off to the side next to the entrance. It was a decently charged chamber, with 3 steel boxes pumping hundreds of thousands of gallons of clean water through them, each passing second. On the side was a large metal slabs with pistons slamming into them as they released pressure from a machine. The control room to their left was almost like a small hallway, with hundreds of tiny dials and buttons covering the room. There were 2 small chairs into the room with a large glass window by the buttons. And one of those chairs was an old buck, with a white maid in a ragged green coat. He was caretaker. He was the official work point for the stable chambers. Although the Overmare did assign the others the duty of taking care of our purifying chambers, it does not mean they were always looking after them. So, whenever the Overmare didn't assign any pony to work at the chambers, she could make CT look into it. He was sleeping in one of the chairs, nose pointing to the ceiling. He snored loudly. Adam went up to him constantly. CT? He said before punking him in the gut once. He snored. Neo was hatching his brilliant joke in his mind, worrying if he tried to act like the Overmare's mother, it would scare the living daylights out of him. Neo looked at his brother with a devilish grin. What's this? He chuckled as he put his mouth close to the old buck's ear. As best Overmare impression, he shouted in his ear, Mr. Caretaker! How dare you sleep on the job! The buck's eyes shot open as he shot past off his chair. What? Shouted as he fell to the ground. Adam and Neo burst out into laughter, almost insane from it. From the ground, he looked up at the laughing strangers with a confused look. What who are you? This is the Overmare. His voice was raspy like an old record player. Adam's laugh started to die down a bit. We're here to take over, sir, he said, wiping a tear from his eye. The old buck got up with a dazed look. Whoop? He said, leaning closer to them with a hoof to his ear. Neo raised his voice a bit. We're here to take over your shift. Oh, Well, you know what he's doing? Adam and his brother nodded at him. Yeah, they said in unison. Alright then, if you say so. He grinned angrily as he walked away from the two pranksters. Liam and Adam could hear the door slide open as the old pup made his way home. I'm sure he'll forgive us, Neil said with a smile. Yeah, he's had worse. Adam chuckled. Adam looked out the bank window above the controls. Wow, look at all the piping, he said in amazement, gazing at all the technology in the room outside. Neil took one of the chairs and started to go over his suppressor gauges. Yeah, he said blankly as he went over the buttons on the control pad. Adam patted out before sitting down in the other chair. Adam started to look at the main pressure. A little Neil dial moved almost to the halfway point. Brother, the pressure's a little off at the second pump. Neil sighed. Okay, I'll go check it out, he complained. Adam just smiled at him before returning to his work. Neil made his way out of the slender room and into the main pumping system. Large pistons hung over the iron slabs. Every other second they would hold themselves over a slab before slamming right back down with a nerve-wracking might. Neil looked at the pistons to see if anything could be wrong, but looked perfectly fine to him. He went back to the control room and shouted down, "Everything looks good here!" He shouted to him before the railing that divided him and the pistons. It was this exact moment the stable decided to start shaking violently. It only lasted for a few seconds, but powerful enough to knock Neil off balance, causing him to fall over the railing. His right forehoof landed under the large piston. Then, like lightning, the piston came crashing down. Clank! Neil felt terrible gut-wrenching pain fly through his body as his right foreleg was crushed completely. His whole arm was completely removed from his body. Blood and bone were covered in a dark iron slab as warm blood oozed out his side. Ah! He shouted as the pain engulfed him. He lay there, right next to the slab. He was shivering with pain as his blood started to gather a warm hole around him. Adam was slightly shaken from the small quake, but that wasn't what truly bothered him. It was the terrible cry of pain he heard coming from the pumps. Then it hit him. Oh no! Brother! He thought to himself as he dashed out of the control to expect what had happened. Then he arrived as he stunned fear of a gruesome sight. His brother was next to the slab, quivering at what used to be his right leg. Neil's voice was rough, and he was choking on the pain as he tried to look at his brother. Adam, get help! He stuttered as he moved around slightly in the pool of his own blood. Adam stood there full shock, his eyes wide with fear. Brother! He whimpered quietly as he looked at the remains of his brother's old foreleg on the iron slab. With the last of his breath, Neil mustered all the breath he could into one final yell. Adam! Get help! He shouted before his body went numb in the red pool. Adam snapped out of his traumatized state. I need to get help! His life is my host! What do I do? He panicked himself as he looked around the room for a way to get help quickly. Then he remembered the self-alert button in the control room. As quickly as he could, he raced over to the control room and instantly started to scroll through the sea of buttons to find the self-alert button. The self-alert button was a small glass covered red button in the middle of the control panel. Without giving a second thought, he slammed his left hoof down on a tiny button. The glass tore at his flesh as he heard the alarm going off. Warning! The alarm has been set off in the water treatment area. All security personnel are to arrive there immediately, said a feminine voice from the speakers. Adam's hoof was hurt, bleeding from the glass shards that made their home in his flesh. He was crying. He was so scared. Adam decided to limp over to his bleeding brother and wait for help to arrive. Neil tried his best to move his head. With what little will he had left, he looked over at Adam from the ground. Adam was in tears, holding his bleeding left hoof. I'm so sorry, brother. I'm so sorry. Neil's body gave way to numbness. I'm really going to die. So, this is what death feels like. He thought to himself as the darkness slowly covered his vision until there was nothing left but an empty void. Footnote. Level up. New perk. Mama's Boy. You gain 2 skill points in all of your mother's skills, like science and medicine, with every level. Would you like to level up Adam as well? Yes or no? Yes. Footnote. Level up. New perk. Swift Learner. Plus 10% experience points whenever experience is learned. So wait, the older brother just got a hoof dismembered, and that is why he now has a prosthetic limb, and his younger brother is crying and feeling bad about it? You better not! I'm not thinking of Little Trixie. No, not thinking of it. All I'm thinking right now is that I want to sing Wayward Son. Because, good golly, it is October, and I want to sing some supernatural music. By Carry on my Wayward Son. See? I'm so totally not thinking about that one anime that happens to be one of my favorites of all time, and is currently and one of the main sad things for that said anime, and it's currently blaring on in my head. See you folks next week.